Hey guys, I finally made it back to the squeeze project. Good grief. Trying to play catch up. I hate to be so nasty about things, but there were some guys who got hay down. That's why I feel bad about saying it. But it rained on a bunch of stuff here, and it kind of gave me a break at least to start getting in here and doing some of this hay squeeze, trying to get this thing done. Okay, here's what I've done that I haven't covered on video. I cut all the clutch linkage out. I had to basically cut the tubing here. I couldn't just, at first I was going to take this whole plate off, and then I looked the way they had the steering column support mounted to this plate and welded to it, so we had to cut the tubing. I got to do some more grinding on that. Got that done. I got the throttle pedals. I got it plugged in right there. I got to cut out a plate, and then I'll have to put a hole in it to where those wires will run through. I don't know if I'll put a bulkhead connector type, rubber grommet in there of some kind, or to be honest with you, I've done it before. I've siliconed the holes shut. I got this on Amazon because nobody in Klamath Falls could get one. Here's the deal with the way this throttle setup works on this one. The newer trucks on the idle validation is wired differently. On this particular style on this ISM, this older setup, the idle validation, basically they were using a switch. They had a signal coming in, and all they were doing, so you have you got 3 wires for throttle position, then you got 3 wires for idle validation. So the idle validation on this setup is the older style setup, to where they're basically, one of the 3 wires is a supply for 5 volts, and then it's just acting as a switch, either on or off. It's switching the signals. One's on idle, one's off idle. So what I was running into troubles with on the newer style, on that, like the ISLs, they run the newer style. There's still a 6 wire, but they don't use it really as a switch. It's basically kind of set up almost like the throttle position is. So the problem is that you've got a situation with this style that even if you switch signals like I had to do to get the pedals to switch, see, I ran into trouble. My whole thought process is I couldn't figure out why they were switching signals. Well, then I figured out why they were switching signals, because it will not work. I tried switching the 5-volt reference from pedal to pedal, just thinking, well, I'll just cut one off and put the supply to the other one. Well, the problem is with that, it doesn't matter. If both signals are tied together, you get interference between 2 pedals. You get, it doesn't work. It does not work. You have to switch signals. So basically, I came out of the supply, basically is going to this pedal. It comes out, you got to think about it this way. The signal's coming this way. It's not going this way into the pedal. It's coming out, going back to the ECM. So I had to come out of here, go into the switch, and then basically, here's the switch. The center is here's the 2 pedals on each end, and here's the one going back to the ECM right here. Okay, that's as simple as I can explain it. But the problem is I had to switch idle validation signals too, and that's why I got the switch off Amazon. It's a 9-pole 2-position switch. So the centers are obviously the commons, and then the everything else is the switchers. But what I'm going to do with these other 3 is I'm going to switch these keypads, and then everything will switch off of one switch. The only thing that I'm going to have to do, I told him, is I'm going to have to put a PTO switch in to turn the PTO on. So I'll put them side by side, and he sat in the squeeze here, and we were talking about it, and I said, it ain't no big deal. You can rake your finger up and click both switches on, rake your finger down, click both switches off. Not that big a deal. Hang on, I'm getting text messages. Anyway, so the keypads will be switched off these three here. And I haven't got to that point yet because I just actually got done. Oh, I was trying to explain to you the auto validation. I got sidetracked, sorry. So the problem with this style of throttle position and auto validation, if it's using it as a switch like this one is, both pedals are, then you have to, if you just tied them together, then what's going to happen is one's going to be showing on idle because it's a switch, it's not being depressed, and the other one's going to be showing off idle, so it's not going to work. You're going to have conflicting data going to the ECM. So that's why I had to take the idle validation. I think I took the signal returns. Yes, I took the signal returns from the idle valve. No, I did not. What am I thinking? I took the 5 volt. It's basically the 5 volt. It's the 5 volt supply to the idle validation is what I did. And I just plugged my laptop in to actually started it, and I ran both throttles, and it revved up on both throttles when I switched, and no codes, so I know it's fine. So we got that all solved. That's all figured out. That's done. Now we're on to the trying to wrap up the keypads. The only other wiring I've really got left is this keypad. I've got to wire a fan switch, and I think I'm going to have to add a wire to the ECM because that truck out there all it ever did was run automatic. And that's another thing Tom dropped the ball on. Never did find me I got to find something to add wire to the ECM because I've got a CM2350 kit, but I think it's different. So I'll have to I don't know, I'll have to find one somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, it's another bridge to cross. But I got this in here. What I did is I took a piece of angle iron, I haven't knocked the slag off yet, and welded it here. I'm gonna have to take that, me and him talked about this too. He's a short guy like I am. He's not a 6 foot, 8 foot guy that's gonna have his knees clear up here, so he said that's not a problem if we mount it here because I'm actually taller than he is. And what I'm gonna do is shave some of this off with a cutting wheel and a grinder. We don't need all this hanging out here. I'm gonna come out here like this and just kind of clean it up, and that way, guy's knee's not hitting it anywhere, and he has plenty of room there with his knee. But the first thing is let's get it working. Here's the plug, and I got another plug. Don't know what that was. So here's another plug right here. That should plug into that right there. Should be an arrow there, and that arrow, I think, is that where that arrow goes? No, that is not where that arrow goes. That must be it right there, huh? Yeah. It'll only plug in one way, won't it? Or will it plug in both ways? No, it should only plug in one way. Yeah. Yeah, because there's a square notch in there, and then there's a square female side here, so it shouldn't go in the other direction. I always got to check and make sure, though, you know me. Where the hell's that? This thing goofier now. Yeah, so let's go 180 degrees out. No, it won't plug in that way. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to be up under this channel of this bracket here, and it'll all get run down back through there, but I basically got to add wire all the way from there to here. So I got to get going on that now. So now I got to go get the wiring schematic all fired back up, and we're basically going to be using just the international one there to wire this. We don't need the Cummins one because none of that's on here. And That's why I put this junction box on here, so basically I wouldn't have to like solder all those wires in. I just got to figure out which one's which. I called everybody in town. Nobody had 20 different colors of wire like I needed. I had to just get what I could get. That's all I could do. So it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. I got to figure out where I wired that, and I got a schematic too. I've been writing a lot of stuff down as I've been going, so so this guy in the future, if he ever has problems and I'm not around, somebody can figure out what the hell's going on. So okay, you see all the wires laying all over the ground here, different colors. I tried to get as many different colors as I could. So solely for that, the whole reasoning behind that is I didn't want my yellow spool. I was going to use all yellow, but I knew I wasn't going to make it with wire. I mean, I was running out of, there's quite a bit of wire here to go back there. But I kept it simple the way I wired it. And so pin 1 on this connector that come off the International goes to the bottom one, which I got on a diagram as pin A, then B, C, D, and so on and so forth. So, and it's kind of simple that way too, because if you look at this wiring schematic here, this is A as well. So it starts out on this connector here. So what I did, I took one wire and I cut it to length, and then I just came out here and cut all the rest of them to length to match the one wire that I'd already cut. That way I wasn't running a wire through, running a wire through, running a wire through, you know what I mean. You get the picture. So this orange one, then this green one. I'm kind of wondering if these are International or this 171. Let's look at that. Because this, I went and cut this off that bus that guy originally, because you remember he bought the bus engine and he was going to do it with that. Then he decided, I talked him out of it. So pin A should be wire number 170. And I don't think these are going to correspond, because that was a 3000 series Allison, and this is a, you know what? 170. 171. So Allison kept their stuff the same. Okay, hey man, that's easy, man. So what I'm going to do is just make up the harness right out here, is my thoughts on that. Somehow though, you got to think all this stuff through before you do it. So there's little loops on the frame rail that the harness goes through, and some of them are pretty tight, and I don't think, maybe I should climb up in there and see before I do this. I was sitting there trying to think about that. I could make this entire harness up and put my split loam all together out here. But the problem with that is I'd have to figure out what wire goes on my bulkhead connector or my junction block out here. I don't know, because all these are the same color pretty much. So my thought was, if this would fit through here, I could put them on one at a time. You know, I could make up the whole harness right out here and wire them, and then figure out from here before I put the split loom on, and then just go ahead and screw them on to the terminals on the junction box, and then put the split loom on out here, because it's a pain in the ass trying to put split loom on with it all run through the eyes and everything, the hold downs. So if I put the split loom on here after I tied it onto there, then I could just run it through and on back and plug it in. But I don't know. Well, there's another option too. The guy doesn't necessarily have to run it through those pieces that they've got welded on the frame. Don't have to do that, I don't think. But I know there's a couple of them that were pretty tight. I mean, would it fit? I know I've got room on that one. Would it fit through here? Yeah, that would fit through there, no problem. How about through here? Yeah. You know what? That's what we're going to do. And even if it doesn't fit on a couple of those, I'll improvise. If I have to take a hose loose and pull it out and then put this through and then put the hose back in, that's going to be the way to do this. That's going to save me a lot of time, because running one wire individually and trying to get that split loom, it'd be way easier to make up the harness right out here on the ground, solder everything together, and then just run it through. I don't need that on now. Okay, so obviously, where was I at? Pin A. Pin A is wire 170. And then 171 is obviously pin B, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll strip some wire off this. I better go get clear off me a spot here on my little service truck bench and get my what do you call it, my heat shrink out here, soldering gun, butane, all that good stuff, and kind of be ready to go here and start soldering wires together. This is going to take a while. After this is wired, this should be the major long portion of wiring to do. And then, I mean, wiring the fan solenoid's easy, won't take long at all. And like the owner said, he kind of needs it now, and I'm just trying to hurry. He goes, even if the fan just works in automatic, he said I got 700 ton to move. He said, so let's, if you can. He goes, I know you're busy. He knows. He's been here. He's seen all the shit torn apart. It's just, you don't know what to do. Everybody's stuff seems to be more important than the other guys. You know, it's just I don't know what to do. You know, that 4450 wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, we were gonna wait till this winter. So they had a 4430 to replace it, to put in its place. Well, the PTO went out on it. I got to do it this winter now too. Hang on, I got a smudge on my camera lens. So then both their baler tractors were down, and they had nothing to bale with. So it's like, well, now I gotta do something for these guys to get them going. Oh, that's my glasses. Yeah, I had my reading glasses on. I was trying to read pin numbers on that. But anyway, let me get all my solder and stuff ready to go. And once I get everything soldered together, I'll show you what I'm doing in the wiring schematic. It's pretty straightforward, really. I mean, you just go down the line here. We're just going to go down the line with the wires, and then we'll figure out what pins what. We'll hook them to the junction block. Then we'll run the whole loom through. That's after we put the split loom on it. Okay, yeah, what a process, huh? Hopefully I didn't get a wire mixed up. We'll see. I pinched it, kind of snugged it up in the vise, and then just started running the split loom down it. Well, that's a pretty heavy bundle of wires there. There's 9 wires in there. Okay, I gotta get this thing run down through here somehow. So I would like to go right down through here. I know it looks like a real cluster right now, but once I get everything wired and then situated, and I know everything is working and functional, then we make it look pretty and tidy. Come on, man. What's going on here? Get the damn thing in there. Okay. Start pulling it through. I have to be careful I don't jerk a bunch of other wires out trying to get this one in. And then I still got all the hydraulics to plumb on the damn thing. I don't even know if this pump's going to be enough pump for it. Those guys over there they're the manufacturers for them over there in Klamath. They're not very helpful. They act like everything that they do is you know, proprietary information, and it's just up to you, so whatever. Whatever, man. Oh, come on, what have I got here that's in my way? This one cable here is kind of screwing me up. This one right here, it's, see, and it's clear up over the top of that. I don't like that. That's what we need to do, is get this one down here like that. Yeah, way better. Okay, now, will it fit? This old, I might have to cut this off. Right here, you know it? Where the clutch linkage used to pivot? I got it. I still should cut that off, though. We don't really need it in there anymore. Means we don't have a clutch. Okay. Got it through one of the eyes. Oh, there goes the light. Clear to the ground. My anticipation here with this thing, I want to see that keypad light up. I still got to figure out. That was what I was trying to find out from those guys. And you know, they're, oh, you got to program those. You got to program. I don't see why you got to program them. There's no CAN bus. It's not a smart device. It's just analog stuff. I mean, that's all it is. I don't get what they're saying you got to program. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not seeing it. Gotta get underneath this filter somehow. Oh, it's gonna be tight, but we'll get it. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good, man. Okay, I don't know if you can see anything, but I gotta run it up through here and then we'll plug it in, and I'll be climbing around out here in the dark, so you ain't gonna be able to see much anyway, and I'll show you the moment of truth. Either succeeding or failure. Okay, I got this plug back in out here. I don't remember if I turned the battery disconnect off or not. I think I did because I was welding on it. Yep. Oh, let's turn that back on. Okay, let's see if I got something backwards. It happens. Oh, hey, both keypads are lit up. It says neutral. It says reverse. Go back to neutral. Drive. Oh, it's a little bit slow. Why does it say second? Back to neutral. Mode switch. That one's blinking too. Kind of curious if I gotta get the selector part figured out still. Maybe that's why you gotta program them. Maybe that's why you gotta program them. Okay, so now I can go. Still blinking, but this one's letting me shift all through the gears here. Now, maybe there's somebody out there that I'll show you. We'll fire the computer back up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll get the light. Hit it down somewhere. Let's plug this back in. Oh, now it's got some kind of weird insignia. Why did it do that? Cycle the key. I gotta figure out how to get them selected. Okay, now I cycled the key and I got the neutral again. It does shift. Okay, well, I hear the neutral relay kicking. See, that's neutral there, or that's the relay click, so it won't start. If I go to neutral, yep. Okay, I'm getting there. So let's look at that real quick. Let me fire the old laptop up, and maybe there's some smart guy out there who's had something to do with this. Man, what a mess I got going here. Wires and welding leads and shit laying everywhere. It's a jungle. Okay, so I'm looking at this, right? So here's our power and our ground from ECU. Sensor power selector. Would that be the one, you think? Sensor power selector. And what is this primary shift select parity? Not sure what that is. Selector mode switch input. Selector. Shift selector. Selector. Sensor power selector. Primary shift, select parity. Primary shift, select data bit, data bit, data bit. I'm kind of thinking maybe this sensor power selector wire. I wonder. Selector mode switch. My thinking is it's either one of these two. But why can't you just take the ground away from it or the power away from it? And you're either using one or the other. That's what I'm thinking. So that's the route that I'm going to go. I am going to switch the power and ground to it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So in order to do that, now the ones that they manufacture these days, when they flip the switch to highway or work, one of the keypads will say inactive on it. Which I don't, like I was talking to the owner, I said, do you need to see inactive? He goes, no, if the damn screen's blank and there's no lights on it, I know it's inactive. He says, I don't need that shit on there. He says, so that's what I'm thinking. Either taking the power, I'm thinking taking the power away from one or the other. Which means I'll have to kind of redo this, which that's not that big of a deal. I'll have to take the wire that's coming straight from the ECU, and I'll have to go right up, instead of going to here, I'll have to go to the switch. Yeah, I'll have to go to the switch, and then to a common, to the middle of that switch, and then the two outlets coming out of that will have to go to each keypad. That is the plan of action. Okay, let's see if my idea works, which I'm pretty certain this will work out. You kind of have to pay attention where you're wiring it to your switch. You want your highway side, which is this side, to match the throttle, to match the keypad. You don't want to turn it to the highway side, and the throttle works and that keypad works and this one doesn't, then that's not going to work. Okay, so that one's on, that one's off. Let's make sure this one shifts, and then it should go 3, 2, 1, back to neutral, reverse. Does reverse have more speeds, or is just, that's it? Okay. Moment of truth. Ah, that one lit up. That one went dead. Let's climb over here. Let's go to drive. Oh, now this one's shifting in all the gears. Okay, back to neutral, reverse. Yeah, there's only one speed in reverse. Okay, we've got that whipped. That is whipped, I think. Should we get the laptop and just make sure? Let's do that. Well, guys, I changed my mind. I'm going to go home. It's almost 8 o'clock at night. I didn't realize how late it was. I didn't realize how long. You know, the owner came in here the other day, and I was wiring some other things on it, and he goes, man, I didn't realize the labor involved in doing all the wiring on it. I said, yeah, I mean, when you retrofit these things over, and there's no book basically on this. This is all coming from between my ears on how to do this. I mean, so it's working, you know, we're getting everything functional. But you know, at least he came in and he saw what we were up against, and he won't flip out too bad when he has to sell his whole ranch to pay me. Okay, I got a good half an hour at least of putting everything up and locking everything up so the thieves don't break into the place and just rob me blind. So anyways, we're getting there. Yeah, I got it one piece at a time, and it cost him a lot of dimes.